Blog Talk Radio.
This is a Open Talk Radio 313 Flash production. My 2 Cents on Wrestling, hosted by Jed Williamson&Al Miller, start right now. Monday Night Raw. Welcome everyone to Impact SmackDown Live.
Welcome to another episode of My 2 Cents on Wrestling. I am your host, Jed Williamson, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Al Miller. How's it going, Al?
Very well, thank you, sir.
And as always, we open the show every single time this way because I'm very uncreative and I just don't know what else to say, but in the background is Mr. Marquez, Al, executive producer, whom you heard at the top of the show with that little sound bite, and he'll probably be poking his head in here in this first segment because tonight on the show, and thank you again, Nick, for your suggestion, your fan request. I appreciate it. This is an event I have never seen. Apparently Al has, so hopefully he doesn't give any spoilers here.
No, I have not.
Now what?
I
thought you said you had.
No, I had not seen it, but I have heard of it now. Once I saw the matches.
Because you said on Messenger that there was a surprise at the end of it.
Correct, yes. And I didn't even see that. I had read that. So.
Oh, okay. My apologies, then. So. But thank you, Nick, for this suggestion because I love sitting here and watching events I've never seen before, and this is a rare jewel kind of an event. So I'm very excited to watch this tonight, next week. But we have about 35 minutes or so before we really have to get into that event. And the first section of tonight, I like to dedicate this show to just talking about wrestling. Sometimes we travel off topic. We've spoken about football. We've spoken about COVID and whatnot. But with the state that the country is in, and hell, the entire planet for that matter, it's kind of hard not to take a moment to talk about the BS that's going on. And I kind of want Marquez to chime in here at some point on this topic because this is something that affects everybody, wrestling fan or not wrestling fan. This is a concern for the entire planet. And at first it was COVID. We're all under quarantine and self-quarantine, and non-essentials are closed down and all this, and it was a surreal, weird time to be in. And then we're not even done with it yet. We haven't even gotten through it yet, and now we have this other planetary let's just call it what it is, another planetary pandemic. It may not be a damn disease, but it's definitely a pandemic because it crosses all the borders, all of the oceans and everything, and it's a negative thing. And it all stems down. You can't say it stems down to one thing because racism is racism, okay? And there's always has been racism. There always will be racism. It sucks. It's not good, but you cannot control how everybody thinks and feels. It's the one true freedom that we as a species have is our thoughts and our feelings. Now, I am not, by no means I'm not a fan of freedom of speech. You can think and feel whatever you want, but there is a line about what you should say. And if you don't know that line, maybe you shouldn't be saying it. But I believe, this is my personal belief, that the guy that was directly responsible for killing that guy, the cop that was directly responsible for killing that guy, should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. He should be imprisoned. He should be put in general population. And by some miracle, he was not to get killed in the first 24 hours, put the sucker on death row and fry him. I don't care. Because as a cop, that is something that you are held to a higher standard of behavior than the rest of the general public. But everything that has fallen out from that incident has been taken to such an extreme that we as our species has never seen this kind of reaction before in isolated cities or states or even a section of the country. But never on a planetary scale have I ever heard or seen of this kind of a reaction to a situation. Racism is important. It's important to keep it. It's important to recognize that it exists. It's important to try to minimize it as much as possible. But at the end of the day, it's there. Racism is not going to go away. And unfortunately, there's a lot of idiots out there. And I'll tell you point blank, there are a bunch of idiots out there that join these protest groups specifically just to create chaos and turn it into riots, turn it into opportunities to loot, turn it into something it's not meant to be. And those are the people that I'm infuriated with. Not the people who protest. Now, the people who block freeways, people who block ambulances to get to a burning building that has a kid in it, for the love of God. Those guys are stupid too. If you're going to protest, you protest properly. You call your government relentlessly until they have no choice but to listen to you. You march down your streets. You do your sit-ins, kneel-ins, group praise, whatever you want to do. But the second that you start causing deaths, you're no longer a protester. You're a criminal. And I just don't have the understanding of how we are supposed to come back from this. I just don't. I see it getting worse. I don't see it getting better. And if it does, I don't know how it's going to happen. Now, with that being said, I'm going to toss it over to Al here and let him have the floor for a minute if there's anything he'd like to add.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, basically. I mean, if you want a peaceful protest, that's fine. I mean, you can do that. It's our right to. But the rioters, they don't realize the things that they're doing. I mean, they're burning and they're burning down people's places that have been there for 30 years, mom and pop places. They might not have insurance to rebuild. What are they going to do now? They had nothing to do with this. And it is groups, like you said, that join the peaceful protesters that do nothing and want nothing except to riot and loot.
Yep.
Martez, you have something you want to add there?
Yeah, I really think this protesting is fraudulent. I don't think it's real. I don't think it's authentic. And what I mean by that is this: I think these people have made it about them and not about the gentleman that got killed live on TV or whatever you want to call it. I think these people are disgusting because of the simple fact that they made it about themselves. I think they're hypocritical, and I'm not going to stand by it. I'm not pro-black. I'm not pro-white, and I've been saying that my whole life. And I just think this is disgusting what they're doing. What the police officer did was disgusting too, but at the same time, it's one thing the peaceful protest, like Al said, but it's another thing to loot, to loot, and riot. I just think it's despicable, and that's why I said their protesting is fraudulent. It's not real. So that's my thoughts on it. I just think it's hypocritical.
And I had read a headline today. I did not go into the story because I figured it was a long one, and I figure I'll hear it on the news. But the police officer who did kill him is facing more charges, and the three that were basically stood there and watched him do it are now being charged.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife told me the same thing, and I'm happy. I'm happy that they're increasing the charges and they're charging the officers that didn't do anything. I'm absolutely ticked pink about it. I mean that's what should be done. But like you both said, it's violence begets violence, and the cop had a violent moment that caused the death of a man, and now the nation is responding with more violence. But there, like I said, there are. I don't know how fraudulent the protesting is, but I can say that there are a great number of them that are legitimately there protesting because they're outraged and they want their voices heard. It's just the morons and the idiots that tag along because they see the opportunity to tear down the cops, tear down the government, and turn it into a tense situation that just breeds more violence and then opens the opportunity for the bottom of the barrel scum of the earth, and yes, I'm going to call you that, the freaking scum of the earth, to take these opportunities to destroy property and steal and burn and hurt people. It's, everything in this world, I've said it before, I don't know if I've said it on this show before, but everything in this world, whether it be the nuclear bombs, the social medias, the whatever you can think of, the man or woman who invented it, the person who invented it, 99% of the time probably invented it with the best of intentions. It just always takes some idiot or some moron to twist something good into something disgusting.
And may I say, a lot of that is the media.
I won't say the media.
It can be the media. Let's put it that way. Is the media.
Well, sure. If you have a biased reporter or something making his own personal feelings known, but I usually just chalk it up to the idiots that don't understand what it's meant for, so they use it for whatever they think they can.
Well, you know what?
Absolutely.
I agree with Al. Both of you are bringing up great points, but the media controls the narrative. So it does, for me, it does start with the media, because most of us believe everything we hear from the media. Everything the media says, we think it's the gospel. And the media has its own way of twisting things up. And I think it's starting to reveal itself. That the media is not really our friend. And I know I'm going up against the machine by saying that, but it's the truth. The media is really not for the people.
Well, I was always taught too that when you look at a story, whether it be political or anything like that, look to see who wrote it. Open another on your computer. Open another window check that site out and see if they're in the middle, right, left, whatever it may be.
I don't know. When you're talking internet, I don't believe a freaking word I ever read on the internet. I believe I view the internet just like wrestling. Everything's a work until it's a fact.
Right. The only ones I truly believe that might be true, or mostly are true, are the ones that come from actual news stations.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like if you're watching the news on your local television station, those people I don't blame. But yes, all of these people that post on the internet and social media, I don't believe them for a second.
No, it's too hard to. I believe there was a commercial a few years ago with a girl that, I don't know, a girl and a guy, I can't even remember the product. And she kept saying, it was on the internet, so it has to be true.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
Let's slap you upside the head with a dumbass stick.
But it is a terrible scene in sight right now. Let's hope it gets better. But I'm like you and Jed. I think it might get worse before it actually gets better.
I'm going to wrap this up with probably a long, drawn-out statement. I'm going to try and make it simple, but I talk too much. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Mexican, Chinese, Arab. I don't care. You are a human being. To say we're going to go out and kill all the white racist people is no different from the Ku Klux Klan saying we're going to kill all the black people.
Right.
We are all human beings.
Yep.
We all bleed the same. We all breathe the same air. This is nothing new. People have been, people who feel like us have been saying this for decades, if not centuries. Stop putting a color on things.
Couldn't agree more.
Anyway, all right, that's enough of that.
Mm-mm.
So, thank you for indulging me and letting me ramble about that. Thank you guys for putting in your 2 cents, pun intended. Now let's move into some freaking wrestling, Cam, shall we?
Jed.
Yes, sir.
Jed and Al, sorry, you do have a phone call on the board, but whenever you tell me to go to it, I'll go to
sure,
it.
Go ahead, put him through.
All right, I didn't screen the call.
Have something to add to that, by all means.
All right, I'm bringing the caller on right now.
Welcome to my 2 cents on wrestling. Who we got? Hello.
Yeah, dude. What it do? What's up?
Hey, we got Matt Riddle here right after he took some. What's up?
Nothing much, dude. They closed down my beach, dude.
Yep, close down the beaches.
Yeah.
That's sad. That's real sad. Anyway, so you do know where I can go find a new beach so I can
Get a kiddie pool and put it in your backyard.
dude, I cannot do that.
Well, the beaches are closed. That's your only option.
Let me stop playing. What up, y'all?
Kevon?
I thought it might have been, but I wasn't sure.
It is.
I started getting a feeling there towards the end of it, too.
Yeah, I couldn't get y'all last week because it was off my phone, and my producer kind of gave that away. That was me, so I had to call in on my other phone.
You're really taking this the bad prank calls from couple weeks ago serious. You're really trying hard to give us a good prank caller. So I give you a little credit for that one.
Kudos for that. Yeah.
So Did y'all watch WrestleMania 31 yesterday?
No, I watched it when it happened.
Right, I did too. I didn't watch it yesterday.
Is it the first time you got to see it, Kayvon?
Nah, this will be like my 100th. Yeah, 100th time watching it so far.
Yeah, it's definitely one that warrants watching multiple times. Just because it was the first time Undertaker wrestled after the streak was broken. It was Sting's one and only WrestleMania appearance, which was epic, and the quote-unquote heist of the century with the first time the Money in the Bank was cashed in during the main event. It was a great WrestleMania, no doubt about that.
Oh yeah. What else should we talk about? I know this pandemic is starting to spread like wildfire, but as long as it's not hitting this neighborhood, I'm cool.
Well, we spent some time talking about the current state at the beginning of the show, Kayvon, but just before you came on. But we were just getting ready to talk about wrestling, so you brought up WrestleMania 31. That's a good way to kick it off. We have maybe 15 minutes before we have to start watching our special event for this week. See Raw. What happened on Raw?
Yeah, the Nia Jax thing.
Yeah.
Was that?
Well, Nia Jackson destroyed Kairi Sane again.
Well, yeah, they got to make her look. They got to make her look strong before she faces Asuka.
Right.
I was reading in a Wrestling Observer today. Alvarez said that a WWE official told him that Nia Jax should be fired and arrested for what she did to her.
Ooh. What did she do?
All she did that I saw was throw her into the steps, face first. Look what they did to Rey Mysterio's eye last week.
Yeah.
Well, that's a stupid opinion from Alvarez, and I apologize, Mr. Alvarez, for calling you stupid, but it was a stupid statement because you look at the difference in size between Nia Jax and Kairi Sane. Okay, you're trying to use the illusion of power and whatever, and you misjudge how much power you're using when you're wrestling such a tiny person. Remember when Randy Orton did he went to do the backdrops on one of the Singh brothers on the freaking announce table, and he rolled him too far because he was too light, and he bounced off of it backwards. Yes. And the camera showed that close-up shot of Randy's face, like, oops, I did not mean to do that. Yeah. Accidents happen. This is wrestling.
That's right.
Oh.
What'd you think of that, Kayla?
Well, it was funny. Nia Jax got strong power, and if you put a little person like Kairi Sane against her, well, like what Mama said, she gonna be thrown around like a rag doll.
I mean, for a woman, women's division, you got a foot difference and about 100-pound difference, if not more.
On everybody. Nia Jax legitimately is the largest woman in women's division on any company right now that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
I mean, she's bigger than, I would say she's at least the same size, if not a little bigger than Awesome Kong.
Good comparison. I didn't even think of that one.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
No, I'm trying to think of like Bull Nakano from the old days. She's bigger than Bull Nakano.
What about that?
The only one I don't think she's bigger than was it was also somewhere in the early mid '90s, I think. The real super heavy set chick that always wore like the flower things. Al, I don't know if you can fill the blank on that one.
Oh, right now I can't.
Yeah, but she's the biggest. I mean, okay, maybe China had a little height over Nia Jax, maybe, but and maybe the power aspect. So there's just three top power people would be Nia Jax, Awesome Kong, and China.
Yeah, they list Nia at 6'1", so.
Which I think was about what China was.
Right.
So, like you said, Kayvon, you got this little 5'0", 95-pound girl in there with Nia Jax. You do your best to protect them, but accidents freaking happen. So, Mr. Alvarez can go kiss my backside. I am certain 100% that it states in every single wrestler's contract, you are putting your body on the line, you are running the risk of injury or even death.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm sure.
They know what they're getting into.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
now, if there's something that we are unaware about, like Nia Jax went back bragging that she hurt her, or if she's legitimately injured, or she didn't care that she was injured, that's a different story. But that's something that we'll never know happened or not.
Right, and I don't think Nia's that kind of lady. I really don't brag about it.
I don't either. So let's see. Do you guys like this? Anything you can do, I can do better between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders? Are you digging this?
I love it.
I laugh a lot.
I'm kind of digging it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm digging it too.
That's WWE at its finest.
I mean, it's a very entertaining way to take up some airtime that's, separate from everything else. The only question I have, and I probably get crap from this from Steve Aaron for even having this particular thought in my head, how in the hell did they get into a bowling alley?
And then supposedly spit out, what was it, goat's milk on the alley lane?
Oh, well, that I get, okay, it's a Viking thing, and so they spit it up. But, I mean, actually entering a bowling alley. Aren't bowling alleys still kind of closed because they're the social distancing crap?
Well, yeah.
Oh, this is WWE. We're going to flash some money, and we're going to get some time in the bowling alley.
Maybe they have a studio out back at their center.
Oh yeah, that's in Vince's basement, his bowling alley, his personal bowling alley.
There you go.
I see they're starting to take this little angle where every time they do this, they're going to have some chick come by and call Ibar cute. I don't know. It's putting Ibar and Otis together or something as the two cute heavy set dudes.
Yeah. I think Otis does fine by himself. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's another one. Okay, Otis and Mandy Rose segment on SmackDown. Did you like that, or did you think that was stupid? Because Al and I remember the movie Fast Time at Ridgemont High, so we understood the reference.
Right.
Oh, yeah. When me and my cousin, we sat out there when we watched that segment, and my other little cousin, he said he was watching it too. And as soon as we saw it, me and my cousin kind of looked at each other, and then we looked back at the TV, and he was like, my cousin was like, Kayvon, is that? I was like, shush. We don't talk about it after or did this go off? So yeah, we caught the reference. It was good, but you know it was kind of a surprise because I was not thinking she'll take it that far.
I could see the roles being reversed and Otis seeing, having that Fast Times at Ridgemont High scene play in his head as Mandy Rose comes out. But of course, this is WWE, so to make it funny, they flip the script. And then I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay myself.
That's all I thought it was okay. I just wonder if they are a real item outside the ring.
Oh, I haven't.
That I haven't heard yet.
If they are, holy crap. I will stand up and applaud Otis for that one.
Oh yeah. I mean, if y'all have Instagram, Otis and Mandy, they got the page together, and they went live a couple times together, and well, the same energy that Otis put into the ring on SmackDown, he did it on social media by calling her his peach and everything.
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble,
right.
Kayvon, but
right.
Wrestlers are instructed to use social media to progress storylines and personas.
Good point.
I guess I have to look it up now.
Now, if you find Mandy Rose's real name and Otis's real name on social media and they're posting stuff together, then you can start to think that they're actually an item.
Okay.
But all of those pages that are like Otis at WWE or Mandy Rose at WWE, those are their persona pages. That's their on-screen, storyline social medias.
Would you believe it if I told you his name?
What, Otis's real name?
Yeah.
What'd you do, Google that while I was talking?
Yeah, I always have my computer in front of me.
Okay, way to go, Al. What is Otis's real name? Shoot name.
Nikolia Bogovic. He's from Serbia.
Okay, the last name I can kind of see him, but Nikolia?
Nikola. And actually,
wow,
he was born after the event that we're going to watch tonight.
Whoa.
December 21st,
speaking
1991.
Speaking of which, gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get this event started because I want to make sure we have a few minutes towards the end of it in case we go over. So I don't know if you're watching along with us tonight, Kayvon, or not, but if you have it set up, we are watching the Battle Royal at Royal Albert Hall. And if you're looking under search on the WWE Network, the entire thing is Battle Royal at the Royal Albert Hall. The flyer that I have on the Facebook page does not say Royal Albert Hall; it just says at the Albert Hall. But the search engine, you have to put in Royal Albert Hall. So, if everybody is set up, we will get. Are you watching along with us, Kayvon, or no?
I am. I'm gonna try to see if I can look it up on YouTube because Mom don't got the WWE Network on her phone. So.
Oh, you are so deprived, young man.
Yes, you are.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's going to be hard to follow along on YouTube then. I don't know how that one will play out. But, all right, we set up, Al?
Yes, I'm all set.
All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Presented in the most complete form possible due to original production technical difficulties, which is not surprising to me because this is 1991. Technology from a across the pond recording, so we're going to get some of the. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say we're going to see some big names to the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
It was originally what?
Definitely.
You said it was originally
1991 in October, I believe. October 3rd, 1991. Yes.
I also think this is kind of cool because this is the same Royal Albert Hall where they conducted the birth of the NXT UK brand.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. The best team in all of history. I mean, you can argue over who the best person is on commentary, whether it be Gorilla or Gordon Soley or Jim Ross, but as a team, there is nobody better than Gorilla and Bobby Heenan.
I will not disagree. Did you get a chance to see them, Kayvon, work together?
Maybe some old footage, because Kayvon wasn't even born when these two were going at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Bobby, the king one-liners. And Gorilla would set him in his place. Gorilla Monsoon was a great wrestler in his own right at one time.
Oh yeah, back in the 70s, right?
70s, late
early 70s,
early
late
70s,
60s.
Yeah. Yep. Bobby too, for that matter.
Oh yeah, Bobby too.
Bobby carries his weight inside.
That's why I like this time period. I've said it before, I'll say it again, is that commentators and managers were normally former wrestlers, so they knew what they were talking about and they knew how to do what they were supposed to do. Hiring these kids out of media schools just because they have a degree in media or something doesn't mean squat, because they don't know nothing about wrestling.
Right. You have to know the ins and outs and how to call it. You know.
Plus, you have to have experience.
Right.
I mean, no disrespect to some of these guys, because I know that what's his name, the kid Vic that was doing UK before this started, and what's his name that does freaking Raw right now, I think it is.
Oh, Joseph. No, is it Joseph? No. Shoot. I'm sorry, Jed.
I'm blanking on it. I am too. I'm blanking on it, but
Todd Phillips.
These kids are too young to have the kind of experience they need to do the jobs properly.
Todd Phillips.
Right.
Todd Phillips, thank you.
Todd Phillips, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
So we're kicking off this event with the Nasty Boys versus the Rockers, which two of the more notable tag teams of all time. Won't call them either one of them in the best tag team category, but definitely a couple of the more notable tag teams of all time.
Right. They were good.
Okay, so what year are y'all watching?
1991.
This is from 1991.
Okay.
One of our fans, Nick, I will not try to pronounce his last name, I'll butcher it, contacted me on my 2 Cents on Wrestling fan page on Facebook, and he requested this event. So, Nick, I hope you're listening. I hope you're watching. Oh, my God, Marty Jannetty just put on the Nasty Boys jacket. I wouldn't have freaking done that. I'd have been smelling the pits and... See, that's what they should have done. They should have been holding them and smelled it and smelled like the armpits and started gagging or something and then chucked it out.
Yeah. A lot of people might know this, but who was it? Brian Knobs and
Jerry Sags.
Knobs was one of the blonde, right? Knobs.
Yeah.
He was best friends with Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah, anybody who's followed Hulk Hogan's career knows that. Brian, when Hulk Hogan had Hogan Knows Best on MTV, I think it was, or VH1 maybe, Brian Knobs was on the first few of those episodes.
Right. Yeah, these guys were good, but I'm with you, Jed. Not quite in the greatest of all time echelon, let's say.
The Nasty Boys definitely had their own niche carved out in the industry because they had the matching mullets, they had the matching outfits. You know, they were the first ones to kind of have that splatter paint look. You know, so it was something different. And then because they were calling themselves nasty, they incorporated the armpit face wipe or whatever you want to call it. That was original.
Yeah.
And the Rockers, on the flip side of that coin, at the time, were the most innovative as far as speed and maneuverability.
Right. I'm not sure how long they had been there at the time, but they made,
that's a good question.
I know they started in AWA.
Well, they were the Midnight Rockers in AWA, yes.
Right.
But I don't know when they started in WWF. I want to say they've been here for at least 2 or 3 years. Actually, I can tell you right now, it's been about 2 or 3 years because remember, Shawn Michaels broke apart in '92.
That's right.
From Marty Jannetty.
Okay.
So this isn't long before they broke up. So they've already been here for a minimum of 2 to 3 years.
Right. Some call it the best move Shawn ever made.
There's no arguing that. That's a freaking fact. I mean, granted, at the time, it was the riskiest move he ever made because there was no telling that it was going to turn out the way it did. Because everybody was supposed to love Marty Jannetty because he was the baby face. And they were supposed to hate Shawn because he had turned heel. Who knew that Marty Jannetty was going to become a jobber and Shawn would become Mr. WrestleMania, legend that he is, and two-time Hall of Famer.
Two-time. No, I agree. And Jannetty,
I feel bad for Marty, honestly.
But after this happened, after the breakup happened, he sort of let his career go south too.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the second they found out that the fans weren't behind him, they pushed him into the enhancement talent jobbers position, and he probably just lost his passion for it, and it just spiraled out of control.
Right. Because I had never heard.
He still works the indies, though.
Alcohol. Yeah, I've heard that too. But I don't think there was any drugs or alcohol problems that I know of.
I've heard that Marty Jannetty was pretty clean.
And I just heard mostly it was with upper management, after the breakup and how they were using him, and then might have mouthed off to the wrong person, and that'll surely end your career.
It's true.
Right now, it looks like Naps in charge of Jannetty.
Yeah.
They beat him down in the corner. Standard Irish flip, boot to the face. It's not really. I don't talk much about. It's not like a play-by-play situation that we do here,
right,
folks. Because you guys, you've seen wrestling enough to understand, the play-by-play. And Al and I aren't going to sit here and say, okay, he clotheslined him, and there's another fist to the face, and a fist to the face, and a boot to the gut, and he whips him off the ropes. We're not going to give you a play-by-play because if you're listening to us, you've been a wrestling fan long enough. You don't need us to tell you that. So we're just talking about the people that are on screen in the match, talking about whatever spawns from that.
Maybe their careers.
Just having a good time. Just having a good time talking about wrestling. Unfortunately, we got a lot of young bucks, no pun intended there, with us tonight because Martez and Kayvon, this is a little before their time, so once again, they're going to kind of just kick back and listen to me and you talk, but if some of the older wrestling fans want to call in, and I forgot to do this at the top of the show. I actually forgot to do this all week last week. Give us a call at 646-668-8672 and join the conversation. Give us a call. Let us know. Joey, give us a call. Lee.
Maybe Nick
Anybody.
can call in. He requested.
Yeah, I want Nick to call in. It's your request, man.
Come in, call in and enjoy it with us. At least the first half of it this week.
Absolutely. 2 whole weeks it is.
I believe it runs about 2:40, 2:45.
Yeah, 2 hours and 40 minutes. So we're going to probably watch about an hour 20 today and an hour 20 next week.
Alrighty, sounds good. But as we talk, we can think of maybe other subjects and.
Oh, absolutely. We'll spin off to current stuff plenty of times.
Let's see, what's some more current stuff? I had heard that their MVP was relieved of his producing duties to become a full-time roster player again.
Really? I didn't
Yes,
even know that he was a producer. I thought he was just a talent again.
I didn't know that either. I had read that today, though. But he wanted to be back to full-time performer.
MVP, I don't know. I could see him being a producer in another 5-10 years when he finally retires, but I think he feels like he still has a lot he can offer to the product.
I agree. Even though the time he missed, he was still in Indies and never really felt.
Well, no, he spent a good chunk of that time at TNA.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if he did anywhere else, but now that he's back, I don't know. I think that the Bobby Lashley and MVP pairing is kind of a good pairing. Hell of a lot better than Bobby and Leo Rush, which, by the way, congratulations, Martez, on getting Leo Rush finally through on your guys' either yours or actually I take it back. That was on Steve Aaron's show, and getting Hugo Savinovich on your own show. How did that interview go?
Well, first thing, thank you, Jed. In regards to Leo Rush, we have been I have been in conversations with him for weeks and everything. Where he was scheduled to be on the gorilla position, but turns out he didn't show up last Thursday, so he wasn't on the gorilla position last Thursday. I talked to him about him not showing up, and he apologized, and we're gonna move on from that. But I just wanted to correct. I wanted to let you know that.
I'm sorry. I thought I saw a post that the interview took place. I apologize.
No, it didn't. And then, as far as Hugo, that was the best.
Must have been a past one, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also saw some stuff. I thought it was a Psycho Sid situation where you were having some issues getting him on, because I saw somebody negatively talking bad about Leo, and then I saw the post about the interview. I thought it took place that you just rescheduled. So my apologies on that one. But go ahead about Hugo.
Yeah, Hugo. That was one of my favorite interviews I've ever done in my life. He was so open and upfront about his time in WWE. He actually shared a lot of things that I didn't know, especially with the Universal title. He said the Universal title concept came up a long time ago, but that's something they would never tell the fans. But yeah, he was a part of creating a Universal title years ago. That's what he said. I also didn't know that he got fired from WWE a couple times. So he's a pastor now. So he's preaching the gospel. So there's a lot of stuff he shared. Yep. He even told me Sting.
Taking the Ted DiBiase route.
Yeah, he even told me that Sting and a few other people are preachers now. So that was kind of unexpected. But he was pretty cool. And he said he'd come back on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not surprised that the Universal title was created years ago. I could believe that the Universal title was probably conceived when they did the unification, had the undisputed championship back when Lesnar and Triple H and Jericho won it. You know, they're probably like when Jericho won both WWE and World Championship, World Heavyweight Championship, and they probably decided, well, we're going to we're unifying the belt, so we need this new belt. What do we call it? We call it the Universal Championship. I could see it being conceived then, but somebody probably just shot it down.
Right.
Probably Vince.
Almost likely, because if Vince said yes, it would have freaking happened.
Hey, did you all?
Everybody else says yes.
You know, I got a lot of things to say tonight, but I'm usually quiet. But you know, did you guys hear about Gallows and Anderson, EC3, and what's his name, Eric Young, going to TNA? I mean, Impact Wrestling. Did you hear about that?
AEW, you mean?
No. Last night on Impact sort of teased that Gallows and Anderson.
They're going back to Impact. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I had not heard that.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't. I'm not surprised. ECW was EC3 was a huge deal in Impact. I thought that they were morons for letting losing him to begin with, because WWE didn't do jack with him. It looked like they were about to in NXT. Then they bring him to the main roster, and he did sip.
Yeah.
Same with Eric Young. Him and Insanity were doing real good in NXT. And as soon as they brought him to the main roster, he didn't do sip. They broke up Insanity, jobbed out Eric Young, and then released him. I'm like, this is stupid. I hate it when they do that.
Yeah.
Gallows and Anderson. Gallows has been in Impact before. I don't know if Anderson has been or not.
Oh,
I don't recall, but I do recall Gallows being in there.
Yeah, he was part of the Aces and Eights back around 2010.
Yep. Wasn't EC3 when he first came in Dixie's nephew?
Yeah. And I absolutely hated him. Because he came in as a heel and Dixie's nephew and this and that, and he went undefeated for a good stretch. And he did a great job being a heel because I hated him like I was supposed to hate him. And then he kind of did a turn babyface. I want to say when he faced Rockstar Spud, because Rockstar Spud gave him such a good fight that he kind of turned babyface in that.
I don't think so.
And after that, I thought he was, top-notch talent. I thought that he could easily be Impact champion, and actually think he was Impact champion for a time. So I just think that him going back to Impact is not a surprise whatsoever, because they'll probably push him real hard now, and he'll have a better career there. Gallows and Anderson, no doubt, they'll probably have a better career there. It's just a matter of money when it comes to WWE.
What's she talking
WWE pays more money. If you're a known talent like maybe Matt Hardy, you might be making more money at AEW, but not too many people coming from Ring of Honor or New Japan or Impact are going to make more money than they would at WWE.
No.
So it's almost like WCW in 1995. You go where the money's at, and they all went to WCW. Now WWE is still the big dog again, and that's where the money's at. Unfortunately, you have to do what you're told, and a lot of times you're told to job. You're told to just go out there, lose in 30 seconds, and collect your check.
Right. That's a shame, because there's a lot of talent, good talent, sometimes on the jobber squad that they just don't give a fair look to.
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Eric Young is the better talent, if you ask me, because
absolutely
he's got 20 years in the business.
Yep.
He's got freaking a lot of experience with being a top guy because he was champion in Impact before a few times, multiple time champion of all sorts of divisions. He was the Legends champion or something like that. The one that Booker T created, and I think he won it off of Booker T or something like that. He was the X Division champion. He was tag champion. So he's got a lot of experience. So for them to get rid of people like that, I don't understand.
No.
EC3 being a younger guy, maybe I get it. I'm confused about Rockstar. Drake Maverick, who used to be Rockstar Spud, because we got word that he was released, but here he is. He's been on all month in this cruiserweight tournament, and he's in the finals now. And he's going up against a virtual unknown, this El Fantasma guy, who just debuted at the beginning of this tournament. So are they going to give it to the new guy, or are they going to give it to Drake? And if they're giving it to Drake, that means that his release was a story. It was a swerve.
Right. It's like you say, it's a lot of the stuff they do. I just don't understand, but we're not in the boardroom, I guess. The release of Eric Young, though, is silly.
No, absolutely. Too good a talent.
Yeah. And I'm sure he couldn't.
Well, real quick pause. The Rogers pick up the victory. No, I take it back. Nats boys picked up the victory after Knobs used the megaphone on Marty Jannetty. Oh, this is right after Ric Flair came to WWF because he's still sporting the big gold before the lawsuit kicked in.
With the short haircut that Jim Herd made him get in WCW. It's grown out a little bit. But I just thought, Tito was good in his time. That's his opponent tonight.
Oh boy, we need to watch. Is this Ric Flair versus Roddy Piper? That should be a good match.
No, it's Tito.
Is it Tito?
I believe it's.
Oh, he's talking about another thing then. He must have been talking about something else then. Ric Flair in his prime, I love it. And that is the belt right there that I would want. Not the remake that they had in 2002. That one's not bad.
No.
But I want a replica of that one.
I do too. I don't have any replica belts, but if I had one, that would be the one I'd want.
The WWE version one of 02 and on, I've had that replica belt on 2 separate occasions, but because of financial difficulties, I've had to sell it. And it hurts so bad.
Yes, I think, this is before he became El Matador, I believe.
Yes, this looks like it's after Strike Force split. Because Strike Force split, we were watching WrestleMania 5, and that's the one that Rick Martel walked out on. That was 89?
Yes.
This is almost 2 years later, so I guess he just he kept the Strike Force look for 2 years. But yeah, he's just about ready to become El Matador, which I hated.
No, I couldn't stand it either. I thought it was disrespect to him because Tito was a good hard worker.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt.
Every night.
Not the best man on the mic, but
No.
I could see him being a opening match to mid-carder, whether he loses all the time or not. But Tito is always good enough to be on the card.
And he always got a pretty good pop, when he was announced.
Yeah, he did. He was a fan favorite.
I thought he lost some of that pop when he became El Matador.
Yeah, because the whole freaking crowd knew it was stupid.
Right.
when you do something, I mean, granted, you have to do what you're told. There's no arguing that. If you don't do what you're told, you don't get a paycheck. So Tito did what he was told. He went out as El Matador. But even Tito had to know that it was silly. And the crowd knew it was silly. And they probably, in their heads at least, were accusing Tito of selling out.
Right. I can agree with that. But, maybe he needed the paycheck at the time. And
that's what I'm saying. You do what you're told, you don't get a paycheck.
You do what you're told, right. Look at that robe.
Yeah, I always loved Rick's robes.
Oh, yeah. I forget how many he said he had in his Hall of Fame speech. I know Olivia Walker made them all.
Yeah, I think he said he had like over 1,000 or something like that.
Yes, yeah. And he had like 700 and some different boots because he never wanted to wear the same boots twice.
Same with the robes. That's why he said that's why that topic was up there, because he said that he never wore the same robe twice.
He always wanted the fans.
Which I found hard to believe, because you see him in a lot of the same colored robes, but I guess it was just they would change the patterns of the
sequins on him, maybe, or
sequins on it. Thank you.
Or the fur that he was wearing, or
right.
Just little changes,
slight alterations to where you don't know that it's always different, but he knew it was always different.
Right. But I'm positive of the lady's name, who made them all.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think he was trying to...
Did you see who's reffing the match?
Oh, yeah, Danny Davis.
This
is after his stint as a in-ring talent. He went back to being a referee.
Yeah, I think he found it a little too hard.
I don't blame him.
I don't.
I mean, talk about making somebody look like an idiot. The freaking stripe get-up they gave Danny Davis just because he was a former referee made him look like a doofus.
Oh, can't disagree there.
That plus the fact that, even though he had a good build, he was still smaller than everybody else.
Right. And
so he was never going to go anywhere with that career.
No, and he had, I don't want to say great or good, but decent mic skills.
He was all right.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. Maybe he thought, well, I've been a ref, so maybe I can do this.
Or he was asked to. I don't know. But I just think he got lucky that he was able to transfer back to refereeing. You would think that if they decided to stop using him as an in-ring talent, they'd just release him, because how do you go back to being a referee? You were a bad guy all this time. Nobody's going to trust you as a referee.
Sort of like Ric Flair's little buddy, the little blonde ref. They call him Little Nate.
Charles Robinson.
Thank you. Called him Little Nate.
I don't think he was never really a bad guy ref, but there was a couple of times where they did that whole Ric Flair favoritism thing storyline. There was that one time in WCW where he came out in Ric Flair's robe, but he had his hair cut like Ric's. I want to say it was near the end of WCW, where I think he was supposed to be a bad guy. I don't remember who he faced, but he did kind of have a match.
Right. Oh, maybe it was another ref at the time.
Now, Nick Patrick, that's another one that went heel and then came back to refereeing.
Right. There's the famous Flair flop.
Oh, no, damn it. Pause.
Okay.
For some reason, I just locked up on me and said something went wrong, so I got to...
Mine did that too earlier before we went on the air. So So I had to relog in everything. But I'm out on a beautiful day again, out on my porch, so I'm lucky that our Wi-Fi in the house is expensive.
Blow me. It's not coming back up.
No.
Hang on one second, folks.
All right.
My internet looks fine.
Sometimes technology doesn't work with us.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do hate about it. You still with us, Kayvon? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, he left a long time ago.
Oh, he did?
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry about that, Kayvon. If we're rambling and you want to get up the line, at least, just give us a shout and say, hey, guys, I'm taking off.
Yeah.
We understand this isn't your time period, and we're just going on and on about this stuff, so I got to type all this crap in again.
So, Martez, until Jed gets a computer glitch fixed, what do you think of this wrestling right now?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have an issue with. I don't have any negative. I shouldn't say negative. I don't have any issues with it right now. I think it's good. I think we have a lot of different promotions that's doing a lot of different things, and I think we definitely got a lot of wrestling going on. So I think that's good that we get a chance to watch wrestling like multiple times out the week, if I can get my words together. But I think
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was finished. Go ahead.
It took a long time for the Indies really to come back. After Vince pretty much bought everything out.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're still struggling to survive, some of them, but there is a lot of good young wrestling indie, talent out there.
Yeah. And you know what, Al, I used to I used to look down on indies, the indie promotions, because if it wasn't WWE, I wasn't watching it. Even with NXT, if it wasn't Raw or SmackDown, I didn't think it had any value or any merit. But I come to find out over the last few years that like indie wrestling is really where it's at. You get to indie wrestling really gives you what you want as a fan. More than what we see on the main roster.
Remember, independent wrestling is where most of these guys come from. So
absolutely,
yeah, you're looking at them at the infancy of their careers, where they're still learning everything, but it gives you a certain, almost a connection to their careers when you can say, hey, I saw them down at freaking Bingo Hall last year, and here they are on WWE.
Right.
Exactly.
I agree.
It's like Mustafa Ali. I never saw him personally, but I'm friends with a guy that used to manage him on the Indies.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I thought he was great talent. Mustafa
Absolutely.
Ali.
It's been
good, young, and up and coming. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, it's been cool to be able to go back, and watch Ring of Honor. Watching the likes of Adam Cole, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, to name a few. Because, like I said, even Ring of Honor, I didn't give that a time or a day. It's nice to see these guys when they were at their infant stage. I guess you could say infant stage, and to see them all grown up. Still working phenomenally in the ring. I was watching WWE backstage last night, and CM Punk and Daniel Bryan was talking, and that just gave me chills. The fact that these two guys worked together so many moons ago in indie promotions, and they were kind of reminiscing last night. So that kind of gave me chills because those two are some of the all-time greats, CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, based on Martez's opinion. So.
No, absolutely.
No, it's a legitimate opinion too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Granted, CM Punk's head got a little big for him when he left, but he wasn't lying when he said he was the greatest in the world.
Yeah. So, do you think?
I don't think he was either. Go ahead, Marcel.
Yeah. You really think his head got big, or because I feel like it was more of him.
Hang on one quick second, Martez, and I'll respond to that.
Right.
I got to back up, Al. What's the timestamp on what you're on?
I'm at 30 minutes, 17 seconds.
Press play now. Okay, so to respond to you there, Martez, yes, CM Punk definitely was getting an inflated ego. It's one thing to be on screen and you're trying to hype yourself up, calling yourself the greatest in the world, the greatest of all time or whatever. But you could tell with the inflections that he used, the tones that he used, and the fact and the way that he responded to the direction that the company was going and his reasons for leaving, and the fact that he tried his hand at MMA, that he honestly thought he was the best in the world.
That shocked me to try the MMA.
Yeah, well, I don't think he was big headed. I just think he was highly confident in himself. He was very, very confident. And it's funny, you bring up a good point. You and Al do, but the very thing that people loved about seeing him outspoken, confident, sort of is the very thing people don't like about him today. For me, he's still the same guy that was confident, that spoke his mind, that thought he was the best in the world.
No, absolutely. But he's also learned to be a little humble because he failed at MMA.
Right.
And now he's learned that he just has to be himself. There's nothing wrong with being himself, being his real shoot name.
Yeah.
Damn it. I hate it when I do that. But anyway, there's nothing wrong with being CM Punk. He's going to be CM Punk regardless. But he's learned to lose that inflated ego. And you could tell the difference between the way he was talking 10 years ago and the way he talks now.
Right.
Did you say his real name? Is that what you were looking for?
I blanked on his real name.
Philip Jack Brooks.
Yeah,
Phil Brooks.
Phil Brooks, right.
He's
currently 41, so it's not too late for him to come back.
Yeah.
No, not at all. He could get a few more years in.
But I think also at the time that he was getting big at it, him and now his current spouse, AJ Lee, were both on top of their respective divisions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But some of the things that he had issues with, I totally get it. I feel like he should have been a guy to defeat the Undertaker. If you were going to give it to Brock Lesnar a year later, why not give it to CM?
I so disagree with that.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Hey, that's the beautiful thing about this, and we can disagree, but
yeah, absolutely, you're entitled to your opinion.
CM Punk was hot. CM Punk was still beloved by the fans, as a heel or babyface. He was still beloved, and CM Punk was a formidable opponent.
I think had they done it a year earlier, instead of doing the end of the era match, don't get me wrong, I loved it, and I'm glad they did it, but hypothetically speaking, they didn't do the end of an era match, and they had put CM Punk in that year against Undertaker when he was a babyface and so over that it was ridiculous. Then I would say maybe let him defeat the streak, because I'm sure that Undertaker and CM Punk could have made it a great story and could have made it believable. But when he was coming out with Paul Heyman, he was a Paul Heyman guy, and he was a heel, and I just think he had lost a lot of his momentum going into that WrestleMania, that it was just the wrong time to do it.
And I think because of that, because of him coming out with Paul Heyman, CM Punk didn't need a mouthpiece.
He didn't. I agree.
I mean, he was a great talker on the stick, in my opinion. So why does he need a mouthpiece?
Yep. Yeah, I didn't like it when they put him and Paul Heyman together at all, because it kind of devalued him, you know, so to speak.
Exactly. That's why I said it was a bad time for them. That would have been a bad time for CM Punk to defeat the Streak.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think the streak should have never been broken. That's just my opinion.
There's a lot of people that feel that, absolutely. And I would have been perfectly fine with the streak staying intact.
Yeah.
And I know you'll probably disagree. The opponent I say that could have and maybe should have broken it was maybe Cena.
Oh, wow. No.
Cena's a legitimate person that could have broken the streak. I think it would have done Bray Wyatt a mountain of good had Bray Wyatt broken it at 31.
Yep.
Right.
Now that
I also think. Oh, go ahead, Martez. Please.
No, I'm sorry. This is you guys' show. I'm just trying to chime in, but
no,
no,
hey, you're the boss.
No, I'm just, come on.
This. We are hosting a show about fans talking about wrestling. You are a fan of wrestling. You are allowed to talk whenever you please.
I know, but I don't want to
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I don't want to talk over anybody, but I think I lost my train of thought. Now, what were you saying, Al? Before I jumped in, I'm getting old, guys. I'm sorry.
Just about Cena breaking the streak. I think he could have, or maybe should have been the guy. But I'm sure there's a lot of people that would disagree.
Yeah, Cena wouldn't even be allowed to enter an arena if he would have defeated Undertaker's streak or broke his streak. The fans look how the fans treated him. What was that? ECW.
Now, that would have been a great time to turn Cena heel, though.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, the best time
if they were ever to do it, that would have been the time.
The best time to turn him heel was when he was feuding with The Rock. I didn't understand why they didn't pull the trigger then, because that was the best time.
Oh, I thought they were. I swear to God, I thought they were.
Me too.
Was that when The Rock was using the Fruit Loops thing and
right?
calling all sorts of things. Okay, yeah, that would have been a great
John was given some nasty shots in response to Rock's promos, and then when he lost that match, I was like, okay, here it is. He's going to turn heel. He's going to be upset because he lost to The Rock. He's going to turn heel. And it didn't happen. He comes out and says, well, you just pick yourself back up and you just keep going. I'm like, what the fuck? Will this motherfucker please change?
But I've always heard they did approach him with it, but he always turned down the idea.
He turned it down numerous times because he didn't want to lose his young fan base and his female fan base.
Sure. Yeah, especially the female fan base. Now I wonder how they feel with him growing all this hair.
I don't know. I'm neither a child nor a woman, so I cannot speak on that topic.
I can't either. I just know he has a lot more hair than he used to.
I love that meme on Facebook that has John Cena with his long hair sitting next to Jim Varney from Ernest, saying he looks like Ernest P. Worrell now.
I did not see that one.
Oh, no, that was hilarious.
If you find it, you're going to have to share it with me.
Absolutely, I will.
I did not see that one. Who else could have broken Taker's streak if it were to be broken?
Now, are we talking about people who he did face or people he could have faced?
Ooh.
Anybody.
Ooh.
Anybody.
And,
well, obviously, Shawn and Triple H, either one of them could have.
Well, at the time, they were both, Triple H has never retired. That's why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. I believe the only man inducted in the Hall of Fame while he was still active is the man we're watching, Ric Flair.
While active at the time, yes. But now Edge is active, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Hunter is in the Hall of Fame with DX, just not individually. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure.
When is one of my favorite wrestlers going to go in the Hall of Fame? Big Show.
Ooh.
Oh, he'll be there. He'll be in there sooner or later. The only thing I'm wondering is, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that the only thing that I'm wondering is that one at a time. Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir. No, I was just going to say he has won every belt possible there.
Who, Rick?
No,
Big Show.
Big Show.
No, Big Show's definitely getting in there. Big Show's definitely getting into the Hall of Fame. I don't know when exactly, but you can say the same thing about The Undertaker. He should already be in there, but he's not in there because he was still somewhat active, whatever. Big Show will be in the Hall of Fame. There's no arguing that. I'm just curious because this past Hall of Fame ceremony was canceled because of the COVID breakout.
Right.
Wondering, are they going to try to hold that ceremony again next year, or did they just give them their rings and then move on to another crop of inductees? I don't know. I'd like to get some sort of info on the state of the Hall of Fame inductions.
Oh, yeah. Right. I'm not sure about that one either with the COVID. I'm sorry, I got distracted there. Forgot to change channel for the wife.
All of us. Oh, the flying forearm.
Forgot to change
as Bobby just called it, the flying jalapeno.
Yeah, that's right. I think that. Well, it can't be the burrito or who had the burrito?
He's called it a number of Mexican things. He's called it the flying burrito. He's called it the flying enchilada.
Well, the flying burrito, I thought, was Eddie Guerrero, or I know he had the suit, the splash.
Oh, and he just splashed with Tito's ass.
No,
all of my tights rub. No, he's showing your ass. Is what he's doing.
No.
You wanted to feel Legend's booty.
Yeah, that was a little on the twisted side there, Al.
I know it was. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Bad comment.
Never apologize. It's good stuff. Oh, and they just showed the replay, and it just did not fuzz out the ass.
No.
Thank you for that.
I'm shocked. And actually, Tito, I wouldn't actually call him a legend, but
Right.
He's a legend. He's a legend.
Yeah, I could. He put his time in. He worked hard. He had some championships.
He's no icon. He's no, mythical guy, but he was a former Intercontinental title holder. He was a former tag team champion. He's in the Hall of Fame. He could be called a legend.
Here's a man I thought was very underrated.
Oh, absolutely.
Big boss man, Ray Traylor.
Yeah.
Discovered. Here's my reference. Discovered by Dusty Rhodes. There's my one reference.
7 years you should go.
Oh, sorry, I had to yawn. Not because of you. I got up early today. Big Boss Man. Big Boss Man threw me for such a curve because I've said it before that I did not know that he was Big Bubba from WCW. And
I mean, honestly,
when he came into WWF, he was so much larger than he is here.
Don't get it twisted, since I've been here a while, but I like my privacy. But I had an idea of getting her an apartment by me.
It was weird for me because he went from being so large with Akeem to being so trimmed down.
Like the Woodward North apartment in Royal Walk on 13 and Woodward.
It was just weird for me. Earthquake. This John Tenta. This. I kind of always hated this guy.
Right.
I did too, but I also think very underrated.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't say underrated.
You think overrated? Because
neither. I just
middle of the road.
No.
He was also, I believe, spent time in UWF under Bill Watts.
Yeah. I'm not gonna let. Yeah, I feel you because
I know he had some health problems at the end of his career.
Yeah, it just don't even feel right. It seems like the end is here anyway.
Diabetes.
You know, it just feel like that. Nothing here work. And
not all big people have diabetes. I'm just,
No, of course. No, there was just something about it. I don't have a definitive reason. There was just always something about him that rubbed me the wrong way as a talent. Maybe it was because he was bald. I just thought, I naturally bald guys in wrestling. I just made him look older. Maybe it was just his girth. Maybe it was the gimmick of being called Earthquake.
I think he okay with moving.
I don't know. He even got more stupid when he went to WCW.
Honestly, I would like to be in the same area. To be honest with you.
That was totally stupid. I don't know whose idea that was. That was stupid.
However, I'll give you this: the man hit the ropes like any other regular sized dude. He would run them ropes like anybody
for about 10 seconds.
Well, you're not going to get a whole marathon out of him.
They will. Boys will.
No, like you said, I agree, middle of the road, but I thought he was a little underrated. He did hold the World Tag Team belts at one time.
Yeah, with Typhoon.
Finagle the way I said we was a part of it too, so they gave us some.
Typhoon, Tugboat, Shock Master.
They down there by you, the quality in. They just stand tonight.
You just rewind a couple of years. You see how big Boss Man used to be. He's just so slim down here.
They gave him basically 300
He was Big Bubba. He was a lot bigger than that. And I'm just wondering if maybe Vince put him on a diet regime.
$295 on each card
when he got there, because I know he did that for the Big Show, and that's why.
If they did that for them out there, then that's something different because they didn't do that for us. Unless,
absolutely.
7-footer. And Vince made him do that, or else he was going to fire him.
Vince was always on his ass about going on a diet.
Right. And the thing about Big Boss,
but I know they had.
Look at his shirt.
In the red, in the red folder, it was
the man sweat like a pig.
A discount for Red Field. I know they gave us that.
But he was a great talent. He really was. I really hated to see the way he went.
I think if we would have went harder, they would have paid for it, but they provided a discount and the money to pay for the hotel and stuff.
Yeah, well.
But that happens to so many wrestlers.
We always go without.
It's not just wrestlers. I mean, it happens all over the place. It's just that he was a public figure. He was in the public eye. So whenever somebody in the public eye does something along those lines, it just gets more headlines.